All right, welcome back to the next episode of Black Tea. Okay, I'm not gonna do that with my hands. That's sassy as fuck. Welcome back to the next episode of Black Tea Party. I'm your host, Sino, like every other night. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into some rage bait. This is another one that I was actively in, and then I have one more that I was actively like commenting in, and then after that we're just gonna get into like me breaking down videos and how I feel, because instead of giving these people my comments and stuff, I'm just gonna have my own little forum, so they feel some type of way, they see it, they feel some type of way, they can add to my engagement. So yeah, we're gonna get into something today. This video just particularly kind of PMO'd me because it's like a topic. This, by the way, this is going to be more of a queer focus one, and this one just extremely got to me because this is like a topic that's been coming up in the queer community and the gay community for a minute now. But it's only on the internet. Like in real life, I've never heard anyone say anything like this, but on the internet, for some reason, people just love to have this thing. And like, we're gonna get into it, and then I'm gonna get into my home stretch, because yeah, let's get into the video. I'm screen recording on my phone, so I'm gonna be watching it, and we're gonna do little play-by-plays. All right, and to start, so like this video is a stitch of someone, so like the person who posted it stitched someone else's video. And for the people that made the video, like I personally do believe they make rage bait content or whatever, and I don't agree with what they're saying in the first half of the video. Let me make that very clear. I don't believe in what they're saying, but also I don't like the way the person responded to it, because I don't feel like it was in their place, and I feel like they overly contradicted themselves. All right, let's get back to it.
But we're not gay. Don't come flying no rainbow flags around me.
This is a perfect example of queer people who aren't culturally queer. And what I truly don't understand watching this video and watching a little bit more of their content is, why is it okay to hang up an Ole Miss flag and not a queer flag? Ole Miss is a term enslaved people use to describe the mistress of the plantation. I really don't understand.
Okay, and this is another part that got me. You as a palm-colored person comes on the internet and like starts comparing homophobia to racism. Now, I understand they're both discrimination, right? But in my experience, as someone who aligns with both of these things, they do not feel the same, and to whatever extent, they cannot be compared. Like, someone could call me the bad gay F word any day, and I really would be like, okay. But if you come to me and call me the hard R, oh yeah, you probably have ruined my day. Like, regardless of how I react, like, you probably have ruined my day, ruined my week. You know, I'm thinking like felonies at this point. You know, like, it's so, the effect, and this is for me personally. All right, if you feel differently, let me know. But for me personally, like, the effect of like those forms of discrimination are so different. And also, like, I just don't think it's in your place to tell a Black person how they should feel about whatever communities they align themselves with.
Understand how that's more palatable than a rainbow flag. Like, I really don't get it. And I don't want to make assumptions, but something tells me that these people probably share a deep respect for first responders in the way that Southern people do. And, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that.
And also then coming in and being like, oh, so you love cops? Because that's what you're saying. Oh, they share a deep respect for first responders, like Southern people. Oh, and now you're classifying a whole group of people. Like, baby, everyone in the South does not ride cops, okay? Like, we all have our own experiences, we all do our own thing, and like, in this video, you'll see consistently they continue to make assumption after assumption after assumption, and then try to tie that in to make a fact of like, this is how a certain group of people should be. And this is really my problem with liberal culture, is that it's almost just as bad as the other side, because you have these ideologies and these opinions, and anyone that treads a little bit out of those opinions, all of a sudden they're this kind of person, and nothing else waves that. Like, this is who they must be, you know? Like, oh, all of a sudden, because they made an ignorant statement, and I'm not saying it's not ignorant, their blue lives matter. This is still a black person, mind you. That doesn't mean anything. Come on. So I don't know.
I do find it a little ironic that you only respect the ones who showed up in uniform and not the civilian soldiers who fought for your rights. So you'll hang up an Ole Miss flag that is a racist term. You paid to belong there, and just the race.
Mind you, like Ole Miss, like the college, right? Like, you're like, now you're reading into like why they have the flag, when they went to school there. And guess what, as a black person in the South, it is hard to get to college anywhere. So if they were in Mississippi and they got financial aid for Mississippi and they wanted to go out and get an education, they probably did go to Ole Miss, because that was what was afforded to them, and probably what school they could go to without having to be in a ton of debt afterwards. So I mean, like, and then of course everyone aligns with whatever school they go to. That's just kind of how fucking that's how that mentality works. Like, people align, like when they go, they build bonds, they build roots in those places, and they align with that. Yes, they can choose to grow up and grow out of it as they go along, but most people don't, because there is pride in being able to do something that a lot of people that look like you have not been able to do. And you saying, oh, well, like, you shouldn't do it because it's racist, it probably means so much more to them that they were even able to go to college than about what that school represents. And I just feel like this whole thing is just so tone deaf. And it's still pinned as their #1 video because they got mad views off of it, which lets me know that you really didn't dig deeper. You just continue to be like, oh, well, like, this is how I feel.
History of that place is staggering. But you won't hang up a rainbow flag. That's like, don't fly that around me. Isn't that so disrespectful to the civilian soldiers?
And like, keep saying civilian soldiers. All right, militant mindset is real. All right, but where I come from, the civilian soldiers are gang members, and everyone is terrified of them, but they fight for what they think is right. And like, gang culture started as an act of resistance towards cops, but nowadays it is definitely looked down upon. But should I be making that correlation between that and people that fought in Stonewall? No, because it's two different things. And now you're like basically trashing the military because of Stonewall. And like, even the pride flag has slave roots. Even the pride flag has segregated roots. This is what I need white queer people to understand. Tap in with me here. What I need you to understand. Nothing that exists is not tied through some type of segregation between white and black people. You think it was all kumbaya in the beginning? Even when they threw that brick, we were not on the same side. We had separate clubs. We called ourselves separate terms. The only people that really kind of, even trans people, hung with the people that looked like them, because that's where they felt. So at the end of the day, like, you can't just be like, oh, because you are this, you should feel this way with everything. And no, that's white guilt that makes you feel like that. A person of color ain't gotta feel any kind of way. They can still be ignorant and they can still be wrong, but they need to be checked by the people that look like them.
Civilian soldier activists, the people who put their bodies, lives, livelihoods on the line, who risked jail, who risked being beaten, so that you could sit there and be married and be gay. Why is that? Why Why is that so unpalatable to you? And my next question is let's say, just as a thought experiment, that you did decide to live more culturally queer. How would that affect your friend group? Because if your friends truly accept you and they're truly your friends, if you did start to live a little bit more queer, and if you did start to say, like, we are going to do Pride this year, we are going to do the whole rainbow thing, like, how would your friends react to that if that's how you actually lived your life? Would they still like you? Would your community still like you?
And then what I don't like too is you begging the fucking question. All right. Maybe not. Who's to say? That's the reason why it's a thought experiment. And I'm assuming that you're assuming that the answer is no, but you don't know the people they hang around. You have never met a single one of their friends or family. They definitely know that they're gay. Oh my gosh. Like, they know, right? And okay, we don't fly a big pride flag in the house. We have like a little tiny one. It sits in the window in the plants. It makes the plants happy. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, if I was in North Carolina, would I have one at all? Probably not. Like, they live in Mississippi. And I think you're missing the point. Like, it's going over your head. Like, but masking is a survival skill. One that I can tell you've never had to develop. And I love that for you. But unfortunately for people in other places, they have to learn how to mask. And so this is where they stand, that they don't want to be seen as so outwardly queer, but they're still living in their truth. Don't get it twisted. They're living in their truth. It just doesn't look like the way you want it to look like, because it doesn't fit your agenda, right? And some people just don't want to be oppressed further than what they are. And that's fine. Like, that's their prerogative. If they feel like that's too much for them, it's too much for them. Like, I truly don't think there is a difference between how someone lives their gay life, right? Especially when those people have intersectionality to deal with and they're already living so many truths at once that make them such a big target. I think we really need to stop riding, especially people of color's backs, about how they decide to be queer in the world. And like, saying that that's not culturally queer by them just living their truth, that is up to them. It's up to them how gay they want to identify on the scale of like living their lives. Because I'm sure if they walk into a room, people know that they're together.
If you did that, because if the answer is no, you're doing it for straight approval. That's why you're doing it. If you couldn't live culturally queer and keep your friends, you're doing it for approval. And to be honest, when people live in the South, I don't necessarily fault them for thinking this way, because there's so little access to queer community, and I feel like it takes so much.
And then said all that, like, basically just all over them, just to be like, oh, well, like, yeah, you do live here, so like, I guess, like, I understand. So what was the point of making the video? What was the point? And then in another video, they go on to say, like, culture clear is about, like, the people that you have around you and, like, going on picnics and park. And mind you, like, I live around people who also believe this idea of community. And, like, yeah, sure, you should extend olive branches to people and make sure, like, you're a safe space for others, right? But me not having gay friends is not a reflection of my gay life. Okay, it's a reflection of how hard it is for me to make friends. Me not having 1,000 people around me and just being like, you are my homie, just because like we like the same thing in essence, it's because I need to know more. I like deep personal connections. It's not for me to be out here just loving on everybody. It's not for me personally. And if it is for you, more power to you. But for me, I like deep personal connections. I like good, strong bonds. That is what makes friendship for me. That is what makes community for me. I don't value people based off of the skills they have, you know, which really is what it comes down to. I believe come as you are, just like one homie I know said.
More courage to live openly out as queer when you're dealing with some of these like red hats.
This is what I don't understand too, is like, you're like, oh, like courage to live openly out as queer. They're married. They're married with children. As far as I'm concerned, they're living openly as queer, regardless of if they have a gay flag or not. People see 4 testicles walk into a room and they're like, oh yeah, I see what's up, you know, like, and just because you couldn't walk into that room, you would see it too, though. Like, you would see it too if you walked in the room. Like, I don't understand where the premise is coming from, because realistically, like, they're living their lives loud and proud. They're just like, hey, y'all be doing a little too much. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all be doing a little too much sometimes. It's like, yeah, I'm here. Like, we're here. What? I really gotta go stand on the rooftop and say it? I mean, I would, but like, it's not gonna change anything. Like, it's not gonna change how I live my life.
You know, let's just put it that way. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today. What a weird, this is weird. Thanks for playing. Love your hair. Hope you win. Good luck here for you. You got this.
Okay. So, you know, I usually don't comment on stuff too, but like this week I was kind of in a mood. Like, I was riled up. I don't know about what, but I was riled up. So I was commenting on all types of shit this week. And I would like to say here, like, me personally, I can take accountability, right? What I've noticed though is a lot of these other people cannot take accountability the same way I take accountability. And I was wrong in one aspect, and one aspect, and that was the thing that they chose. And they were like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why? Like, just a bunch of people that were on the OP side was like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? And I was like, I already said I shouldn't have said that, but I can't edit my comment, so why aren't y'all answering any of my other questions? So mind you, I took accountability. All right, so I commented and I was like, non-binary from North Carolina here. I really hope you message this person and try to get an understanding of their mindset before blasting their faces for clout, which was the thing I said that I felt like I could have left out. True. Like, people do stitch all the time on the internet. It is their right to like choose a video, stitch it, and make their opinion. Okay, cool. But like, regardless, it was still for attention. But like, moving forward, I understand you feel like this is appropriate, but as someone who lives in a progressive state now where like people are constantly policing queer culture and liberal language, this is literally why less POC feel comfortable in community every day. Oh no, hold on. I hate the way the TikTok, like, if you're reading your messages on TikTok, it doesn't show it and it doesn't show it from top to bottom. It shows it from bottom up. Okay, I think I started right here. It said, sure, that's your opinion, but I don't think they're blasting their faces for clout. Again, posting on this. Once again, they posted publicly. They blasted their faces for clout first, and they're literally just looking for approval from their oppressors and okay. Oh, if that's what you think that is, unless they could just honestly be sharing their true opinion, just like you're sharing your opinion. Want to other themselves from people who fight for them. This person is addressing an issue within the community. This video is not gonna go viral. If it gets millions of views, I'd be surprised. And mind you, it got 2.4 million views. It went fucking viral. This person is addressing an issue within the community. It's not a real issue. This video is not going to go viral. If it gets millions of views, I'd be surprised. This is not the same as those accounts that literally just use drama to make money and that's it. You can tell they sound like news reported, except it's about something insignificant. Yeah, mind you, it did go viral. I was like, okay, cool, blasting their faces for clout. I don't think they were looking for approval from anyone. I think they were stating how they fucking felt, and they thought they put it on TikTok like everyone else with a dumbass opinion. And the OP is expressing an issue within a community that does not exist. There is no issue with how people decide to present themselves, because at the end of the day, that is up to them. And okay, so boom. Someone said, oh, then I said, okay, yes, they posted this. And A million, and mind you, the whole time the creator of the post is liking everyone's comments but mine. Like, I really touched a fucking nerve, which I found surprising too, because everyone else was white. And they even, someone that agreed with me said something, and they said, oh, I'm uplifting your feedback, ignored me the whole time, and they only commented to me twice, and they couldn't get it through their heads why I was upset or whatever. I just had time today. I wasn't really upset. I had time. Like, I be having time, bro. Do not try me. And I was like, okay, yes, they posted this. And 1 million people is a lot of people. But I'll digress on the clout issue. But the other issue that you haven't addressed is you can't tell people they are not queer enough, whether pick me or not. They are living in an individual experience. And the policing of queerness is what makes the cut, what makes the community is not for anyone, and what makes the cut is not for anyone to decide. If they don't want to be a part of the community, it actually becomes a non-issue for the queer community. Does it not? As they themselves don't want to be affiliated, and therefore the OP still grouping them and then telling them why they're wrong violates that autonomy to choose where they want to belong. I love to play devil's advocate. I think I read this one already. This is not the same as those accounts that literally just use drama to make money, and that's it. You can tell they sound like news reported, except it's about something insignificant. This is insignificant though. Like, it's one of those things, like, sure, you can be like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe they said that, right? But then to go on and be like, this is why they should not be considered as such, that's policing. Like, that's literally the meaning of the word. Like, I feel like people don't understand, like, you can so easily become the thing you hate, you know? Like, you can so easily become the thing you hate, right? Like, we talk about this all the time. Like, prime example, sorry, I'm gonna go off into a tangent, but prime example, me and my partner, we currently know this guy, right? And I feel like his intentions are in the right place, but he is a white man, and he goes on to his whole thing is that he stays inside of the house and just consumes basically trauma content, trauma of other countries, trauma of people, and like all these things. And like, he's pretty much like, he be out the house, but he's in the house, you know? And his whole thing is like, I want to be able to put my body where it needs to be when the time is right, but he never leaves the house. So like, you're basically consuming all of these things, making you anxious, and in theory, like, you're going to do the right thing, but you can't even be at the place you need to be to do the right thing, because you don't go anywhere. You just numb all this craziness, and it puts you in a state of fear that you're actually terrified that you might have to go outside and put your body where your body is needed, in between a bullet and a black person, pretty much. I love gay people, and I especially love gay black women. You know, like, that's top tier of the gay people I love, right? But sometimes some of y'all, there's a specific part of this community that are extra annoying about being gay, and it's just like, we get it. We see y'all. Everyone sees y'all. That's what y'all want. We all know who you are. And unfortunately, a lot of it looks like performative bullshit. It's just all, you're catching up. The rest of us, we're just trying to live our life. We're trying to get twerked on in the club, you know? That's how we're trying to live our best gay lives, you know? And y'all are just like, and it's like, okay, like, relax, shawty. Like, it was never that serious. And then the black people that are like, because I have seen a couple of I might actually do the other person's video too, because the black people I have seen do this, like, oh, like, low-key, you're a little white-centered. It almost falls into the hands of that agenda, because you are going so hard about this thing that no one else cares about except for white people, because they need to be categorized. I feel like people of color, if you are queer, go forth and be beautiful. And then we started talking about intersectionality, and then they were like, oh, I don't think, like, because I'm like, it's a unique experience to you. Like, this is what people need to understand. Everyone's experience is their experience. I'm done with this, because these, honestly, the video is screen recorded, so go check it out, and then you can go read it. But they basically kept saying the same thing every time, and I honestly, hand to God, I tried to edit my comment so that it didn't say blast for clout anymore, because I was like, you know what, you guys, you're right, that was incorrect. But it grabbed everyone's attention though, but no one else brought up the fact that like this person was policing how others should use their identity, and was assuming that because they made this comment, they believed all these other things. And at the end of the day, that experience is unique. You contradict yourselves 20,000 times over because you look at people and assume about how they're going to align, and you assume that because of the clothes they're wearing, of the comments they made, and then you tell them, oh my gosh, like you can't be over here because you obviously don't believe what I believe, whatever that is. And I just think the queer versus gay is a non-issue. Let people live their lives. If they want to be a part of the community, they will show up. And if they don't want to be a part of the community, it doesn't make them any less queer. Okay, they just don't want to show up for you because you probably give them bad vibes and you probably stink. Anyway, I just come to say, like, moral of the story, like, you guys, like, some of y'all are like really annoying about like how people need to show up in the world in order to be categorized as such, and some people actually don't live for labels. I think that's the moral of the story. Some people don't live for labels, right? Some people live their lives so that they can have their best human experience. And I will say, like, how they're having their best human experience definitely depends on where they live at, how they were born, and all of those factors go into play. Not all of us are blessed blessed, I'll say, because I love being from the South, and honestly, there is more diversity, there's more heart, there's more passion, and there's more love, like true love in the South than there ever be in any of these progressive states. Because at the end of the day, all of y'all are striving towards the perfect label, to being perfect for a label instead of just being perfect for humanity itself. So yeah, this was another episode of Black Tea Party, and I hope you sip on that.